On the escalating conflict in Yemen and the effect on the region, we're joined by Nadwa Al-Dawsari. She's a leading expert on Yemen. Nadwa, thanks for being on the program. There's a lot of concern that instability in Yemen and now the Saudi military offensive, I should say Saudi-led military offensive, is going to trigger a wider regional conflict. Explain to us why so many people are concerned about this.
Actually, my concern with the Saudi offensive, and I would say the Saudi because it's Saudi-led, is in the fact that, like you said, Saudis have launched the offensive in Yemen because they felt threatened by the sudden and quick rise of influence of Iran in Yemen. And so they see the situation as a security threat to them, and to me that's the highlight of the fundamental problem in the way the Saudis and the international community, for that matter, dealt with Yemen over the past decades. Yemen has always been seen as a threat, as a security threat, and in isolation of the real issues, the root causes that give that have caused security problems in the first place. Political marginalization, corruption, and the fact that the government is illegitimate.
You know, for so long we were worried about Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula as the leading terror group in Yemen. Are you concerned, or are there concerns that ISIL could now get a foothold in the country?
I think, given how fluid the situation is, and now the Saudis' airstrike, that's definitely a concern. It's a valid concern. The Saudi airstrikes, in my opinion, might lead to further conflicts in the country.
And that's what I was asking you in the beginning, not just inside the country, but a regional conflict in the region.
Yes. So I mean, I think it's a major miscalculation by the Saudis. Everybody who knows Yemen understands that nobody can win a war in Yemen. It's a very complex country. It has overlapping political and social interests. There are many groups in Yemen. There is a lot of power struggle, and it's a very, very fragile context. So any violent action in the country would likely exacerbate these conflicts.
Let's talk about Iran, that of course has denied supporting the Houthis, but the international community, US, Saudi Arabia, they're saying Iran is supporting arms, it's supporting all kinds of logistic support. Iran and the United States seem to be on the same side in Iraq when it comes for the fight for Tikrit, but clearly on the opposite side in Yemen. Does this really drive the point home how complicated the relationship between the United States and Iran is? They seem to see eye to eye in one conflict, but clearly on opposite ends in another.
In Yemen, I think the Saudis have a legitimate concern about the increasing influence of Iran. That's true. That's legitimate. Having said that, yes, Iran supported the Houthis, they've backed the Houthis, they've trained the Houthis, they've provided money for the Houthis, but Iran is not what's driving Yemen's problems. Iran is not what's driving Al-Qaeda. I think the U.S. administration have realized from observations over the past months that Houthis' offensive in tribal areas have, in fact, radicalized the tribes, and it's actually giving more grounds to Al-Qaeda to recruit among local people who are not supportive of Houthis, who are anti-Houthis.
And very quickly, Nadwa, very quickly, we're running out of time. Do you think this conflict in Yemen is really about a sectarian divide, or is this a political one for power and influence in the region?
It's definitely a political one. It's about power and influence, but it could spur into sectarian conflict.
All right. Nadwa Al-Dawsari, thank you so much.